With the salary cap getting higher and higher every single year, there have been some horrible contracts handed out in the NHL. But we will get to those contracts another time. In a mix of overpays and overvalues, there are some contracts that are absolute steals. Whether a player is being team friendly or a contract was offered at just the right time, in this video we will look at one great contract from every single team. I'm not counting entry level contracts in this because they couldn't make more if they wanted to, and also only current contracts, so no extensions will be considered. Also, I get that taxes contribute to these contracts, but we were just going to look at their yearly cap hit and their term. Lately, I've been going in ABC order for all of my videos, so this time let's start from the bottom with the Winnipeg Jets. For the Winnipeg Jets, we have one of the best contracts in the league with Mark Scheifele. For all the talk about places with high taxes, Mark Scheifele just does not care. Winnipeg has pretty high taxes, but Mark Scheifele said how about 8.5 mil a year? And he's only in year 3 of 7 in this deal. Scheifele has been a point-a-game guy for nearly 10 years at this point, much before this contract was ever signed, and he just had a 103-point season. In a really bad Winnipeg Jets season. He has no individual awards in his career, and that is a travesty. He is such a good player and deserves more credit for how good he is and what a discount he took for this contract. For the Washington Capitals, we have Dylan Strome at $5 million a year. After struggling with injuries for a few seasons, Dylan Strome has completely found his game with the Washington Capitals. Last season was a bit of a down year for the Capitals in general, so Strome only had 58 points in 80 games. But 2 years ago, Dylan Strome had a point per game season, and with the addition of guys like Alex Tuch and Jordan Kyrou, I think that Strome will really bounce back this year. For a first-line center and the good production that he has, Strome at $5 million a year is a steal. For the Vegas Golden Knights, we have Mitch Marner at $12 million a year, a pretty new addition to the Vegas Golden Knights, and with guys making $15 and $18 million in the league now, Marner at 12 is a steal. When fitting into the Knights system, Marner was slightly below point per game, but he is still an absolute producer, and last season he showed that he could be a playoff producer as well. This Vancouver Canucks pick is really tough, but I'm going with Marco Rossi. They have so much cap space, so they are not really concerned with taking on bigger contracts like Brendan Gallagher, but as far as one great contract, I'm kind of grasping at straws here with Marco Rossi at $5 million a year. Last season he had 35 points in 50 games, which is not horrible. This is more of a bridge deal than anything, but having Rossi for 2 more seasons at $5 million is not too horrible, especially since he is still a growing player. For the Utah Mammoth, I'm going with Clayton Keller. Keller has been in the Mammoth Coyotes organization ever since he was drafted, and he is a super team-friendly deal at $7.15 million a year. He only has 2 years left on this deal, so we'll see what kind of pay raise he gets, but he just had 88 points in 82 games last season. He is a leader on this team and guarantees you 80 plus points when he's healthy. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares is aging like a fine wine. At 35 years old, he played 82 games and had 75 points. Ever since Tavares stopped being captain, I feel like he has really settled into a lesser role on the team. He still is a vet and a leader, but he doesn't have the same pressure he had when he joined the team in 2018. Side note, but next season will be Tavares' 9th on the Maple Leafs, the same amount of seasons he played on the Islanders, so crazy how time flies. But for this production, Tavares is only getting paid a little more than $4.3 million a year. A really productive second liner and a great locker room presence for the price tag is so good for the Leafs, and it allows them to build around him and juice up this team as time goes on. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm going with Brandon Hagel. Kucherov was someone that I considered at only $9.5 million for the crazy production he has, but Hagel at $6.5 million a year on year 3 of an 8-year deal is so good for the Lightning. He had 90 points 2 years ago and 74 points in 71 games this past season. He is definitely considered a dirty player by a lot of other fan bases, but he is super physical and gets in other players' heads and has great production. And at $6.5 million, it is more than worth it. For the St. Louis Blues, I'm going with Robert Thomas at $8.125 million a year. He spent 18 games injured last season, but he was still point per game. A great playmaker, and he is only halfway through an 8-year deal. There were rumors of him being traded at the deadline last year, but with the moves that St. Louis made this offseason, I'm feeling good about them next season, and holding on to Thomas was a great choice. Thomas has had a few seasons over point per game at this point, and hopefully he will stay healthy next season. For the Seattle Kraken, I'm going with Adam Larsson. At $5.25 million a year, I think that he is a super underrated player in general. He is a great defensive defenseman, and he can fit on the top or second line pairing on the Kraken. He never figured it out in Edmonton, but it seems like he has fit right into the Seattle Kraken. He isn't a big point producer or anything, but for the defense he brings, $5.25 million is an underpay, and he's only entering the second year of a 4-year contract. For the San Jose Sharks, I'm going with Michael Kesselring at $4.5 million a year. In the offseason, they brought on a lot of big contracts, and they still have a lot of entry-level guys on this team. But with Kesselring, I feel like he has a chance to be a top-line defenseman on the team. With Trouba and Orlov ahead of him on the depth chart, he has a real chance to move up the lineup. He had it really tough last season, but I really think that injuries have gotten the better of him the last couple of years. This is definitely a reach because Kesselring could honestly end up in the AHL by the end of the year, but it's honestly hard to find a good contract on this team because they overpaid for a lot of these vets and the young guys are still on entry-level deals. The Penguins are an obvious one with Sidney Crosby. Crosby only gets $8.7 million a year and is still producing over a point per game. He has been underpaid for 10 years at this point, and it just shows his commitment to keeping the Penguins a competitive team. He's a leader on this team, arguably the best captain in the league, is 38 years old, and still had 74 points in 68 games. For the Flyers, I've chosen Travis Sanheim. At $6.25 million a year, Sanheim is an Olympic caliber defenseman who heads the Flyers defense. He's on the 4th year of an 8-year deal, so there is still a lot of time left on the contract as well. He doesn't have huge point production, but he hovers between 30 and 40 points a year, while still being very reliable on the defensive side of things. For the Ottawa Senators, I'm going with Jake Sanderson at $8.05 million a year. He just keeps getting better. Last season, he had 54 points in 67 games. He's already an alternate captain on this team at only 24 years old. Just absolutely elite, and with guys like Bowen Byram making over $12 million, the Senators are making a killing with this contract, and he's only on the 3rd year out of 8. So much more mileage left on this one. If you're enjoying this video so far, please Scott Stevens smash the subscribe button so this channel can get off the floor and on the board. Thank you all so much for your support so far. For the New York Rangers, I'm going with Adam Fox at $9.5 million a year. Fox is a Norris Trophy winner and has been suffering with injuries for the past 3 years. Last season was the toughest, with Fox only playing 55 games, but he still had 53 points. Fox is still a very, very good defenseman, but at this point has become underrated because the Rangers haven't been good and he's spent a lot of time hurt. At his peak, Adam Fox is in the upper echelon of players with guys like Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, and when healthy, this contract is a huge underpay. Hopefully Fox will be healthy next season and show why this contract is an underpay, but we will see. For the New York Islanders, I'm going with Adam Pelech at $5.75 million a year. He isn't a flashy player at all, but he is a defensive monster out there. He's a perfect second-line defenseman and a killer on the penalty kill. If the Islanders have Scheifele as the first-line offensive defenseman on the left side, Pelech is the absolute perfect guy to come off the bench after him. Not a flashy pick or player, but a great player who prevents goals from going in, which is just as important as scoring them. For the New Jersey Devils, we have Jack Hughes at $8 million a year. I know that Jack is Mr. America now, but there was a time where he really struggled in the league. After his 3rd season, the most games he played in 1 year was 61, and the most points he had was 56, leading to this discount of a contract. Since then, Jack has gone on to be well over a point per game every season. This last season, he had a great 77 points in 61 games. He really needs to start having healthy seasons, but even for 60 or so games of his high-end production, $8 million is worth it. My pick for the Nashville Predators is Filip Forsberg at $8.5 million a year. Forsberg is a magician with the stick, and he doesn't get enough credit for it. But he is a super consistent and reliable player. He's hovered around a point per game for a while now, and last season had 40 goals and 70 points in 82 games. Even when Nashville is struggling, he still performs well. 40 goals is awesome for Forsberg, and is even better when it only costs $8.5 million a year. For the Montreal Canadiens, I've chosen Cole Caufield at $7.85 million a year. This is one of the most difficult teams to choose because there are so many great options, but with the season that Caufield just had, it makes sense for him to be the choice. Cole Caufield makes $7.85 million and just had 51 goals and 88 points. Like, it should be illegal to have such a good deal for a player. And he's only halfway through this contract. There's still 4 years left. The Canadiens are set up to be great for years and years to come, and guys like Cole Caufield buying in and taking team-friendly deals only helps them build such a great team. For the Minnesota Wild, we have Matt Boldy at $7 million a year. Boldy is an elite forward who is just as great of a sniper as he is a playmaker. In 76 games last season, he had 42 goals and 43 assists for 85 points. Boldy has just been an absolute treat and could probably be making $13 or $14 million a year. With Kaprizov taking $17 million a year, Boldy taking this discount definitely helps the Wild as well. For the LA Kings, I've chosen Mikey Anderson at $4.125 million a year. Anderson is a solid stay-at-home defenseman who has solidified his spot on the LA Kings top line. He would be super effective with a mobile offensive defenseman on the right side, but unfortunately, the Kings don't have anyone like that. But for the great defense he provides, $4.125 million a year is a great deal for him, and he's only halfway through the deal that was signed for 8 years. Having a solid defensive defenseman like him is crucial to building a playoff team, and Anderson is one of the reasons that the Kings keep making the playoffs, even if they don't make it out of the first round. For the Florida Panthers, we have Alexander Barkov at $10 million a year. He is entering his 5th year of an 8-year contract. He is consistently over a point a game and consistently a defensive monster. He did not play the entire 2024-2025 season, which is concerning, but if he comes back with the same ability he had before his injury, then he'll continue to be more than worth the $10 million. With the Edmonton Oilers, we have Connor McDavid at $12.5 million a year. Super similar to Crosby, McDavid took a huge discount so that Stan Bowman can build a better team around him. There's no evidence of that happening yet, but McDavid is definitely doing his part. He just won the Ted Lindsay and makes the same as Bowen Byram. I mean, come on. He is well over a point a game every season and is the best player in the world. And he's probably taking a discount of over $5 million. For the Detroit Red Wings, I've chosen Moritz Seider at $8.55 million a year. Seider is a solidified elite first-line defenseman and does not make the money of one. He produces so well offensively and is super reliable on the defensive side of things as well. With Kane leaving and Larkin leaving soon, the Red Wings are struggling to keep this team together, but if Seider stays, I believe everything will be okay. And him making anything less than $10 million is great, and he makes even less than that. For the Dallas Stars, I have Mikko Rantanen at $12 million a year. Mikko Rantanen probably signed a contract at the worst possible time he could have, because if he signed a contract today, he would probably be making $15 million a year or more. But instead, he is on the second year of an 8-year, $12 million a year contract. The last 2 seasons have been weird for him. 2 years ago, he shuffled around between the Avalanche, Hurricanes, and the Stars, and he spent a lot of last year injured. But when healthy, Rantanen is a killer. He was more of a playmaker this past season, which is really interesting. He had 55 assists and 22 goals in 64 games. He was just feeding Wyatt Johnston on the power play, I guess. And I think that is an underrated and really exciting part of Rantanen's game, the way that he can adapt and make the people around him better. Whether it's Nathan McKinnon or Wyatt Johnston, he can adapt to make the players around him the best they can be. I think because of this mess of the last 2 years that Rantanen has become underrated and probably underpaid as well. I love Natchez, but seeing how cheap this contract already is has to be frustrating as an Avs fan, because you'll definitely could have afforded this guy. For the Columbus Blue Jackets, I have Jet Greaves at $5 million for 3 more years. It was rumored that Jet was asking for $7 million, and the Blue Jackets are able to lock him up for $5 for 3 more years. Jet is one of the most underrated goalies in the league. For as much as Columbus struggled, Jet was a constant. He had a .908 save percentage and 16.5 goals saved above expected, which was 9th in the entire league for a non-playoff team. Jet is very good, and if he continues this great play, he will hopefully get a huge raise in 3 years, but for now, the Blue Jackets have him on a great deal. For the Colorado Avalanche, I'm choosing Devin Taves at $7.25 million a year. Cale Makar is on a great contract right now too, but it expires after this season. However, Devin Taves is on the $7.25 million a year deal for 5 more years. Taves is just as important to the Avalanche as Cale Makar, honestly. Everything that Cale Makar lacks in, Devin Taves makes up for. Cale Makar is able to be the best defenseman in the world because of Devin Taves, and for that, he is worth much more than $7.25 million. For the Chicago Blackhawks, we have Alex Vlasic at $4.6 million a year. Vlasic is an amazing defensive defenseman who was one of the main reasons that the Blackhawks were able to have the top penalty kill in the entire league for most of the season. He's a defensive partner who could be a Devin Taves type, and he still has 3 more years on this deal. Even though him and Byram are both left-handed, Vlasic would be a perfect defensive partner for him on the Blackhawks. Either way, though, Vlasic is a great defensive presence on the Hawks and was a big part of why their season wasn't even worse last year. For the Carolina Hurricanes, we have Logan Stankoven at $6 million a year. Stankoven is 23 years old and just had a monster run in the playoffs, and he's about to start the first year of an 8-year deal. An 8-year deal, and it is just starting. He doesn't put up insane stats, but he does exactly what he needs to do for this Carolina team. He had 44 points in 81 games during the regular season and 16 points in 19 playoff games. He honestly probably should have won the Conn Smythe, but either way, the Hurricanes have a beast on their team for 8 more years. For the Calgary Flames, I have Dustin Wolf at $7 million a year. Wolf had a monster rookie season, but had a tough second year. It was a down year for the Flames in general, so I will not blame Wolf for his tough stats. When the Flames are competitive, he will be worth much more than $7 million a year, and it is for 7 years starting this upcoming season, so they've got him for a while. For the Buffalo Sabres, I've chosen Josh Doan at $6.95 million a year. The Sabres acquired Doan last year, and he's been a huge part of the revitalization of this team. He's not only a great player, having 52 points in the regular season, but also a huge leader in this team. The energy in the room changed when Doan joined the Sabres, and during the playoffs, he was their best player. He was so physical and gritty while still having great finesse. Year 1 of the 7-year contract is about to kick in, and by the end of it, he will certainly outgrow his cap hit. For the Boston Bruins, we have Morgan Geekie at $5.5 million a year. Geekie has been getting better and better every year and just scoring more and more. He scored 39 goals last season and had 68 points, a goal basically every other game for $5.5 million is amazing, and he's only about to start year 2 of a 6-year contract. For the Anaheim Ducks, I chose Jackson Lacombe at $9 million a year. Lacombe is quickly emerging as one of the better defensemen in the league. He is already a leader of this team, and last season he had a very good 58 points. He is also very reliable defensively, and he's on the first year of an 8-year contract. With all these huge defenseman contracts being signed, Lacombe signed a really friendly deal with the Ducks. And that was one great contract on every NHL team. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment your thoughts below, like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more.